Baltimore. Which political party will save Baltimore? Remember the wire. Baltimore. Which political party will save Baltimore? Remember the wire. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Political Buzz Network, and my name is Laurel. On this blog, I would like to address the issues, the economic issues, the economic issues which have plagued the city of Baltimore, Maryland for decades. As we approach this new election in November to elect a new president of the United States of America, we still have communities like Baltimore that are drowning, sinking in poverty. People who are suffering don't know how to get out, don't know how to come out and come up. And an election to choose a new president is not just for the rich. It's not just for the middle class. What about people all the way at the bottom? Like many of the people who live in West Baltimore, Maryland. Do you remember Freddie Jackson? Freddie Jackson was a 25-year-old young black man who was murdered by Baltimore police for doing nothing. He wasn't doing anything. Standing on the street corner, pushing, and had a bike. He had been pushing a bike, and he was standing, and a cop called him, and he ran because he knows how the Baltimore police have historically treated black men, poor black men in Baltimore. So when the police called Freddie Gray, when they called, like motion for him to come over to them, he panicked and he ran. Of course, him running, that cost him his life because the police arrested him, beat him up, beat him to death. Now there's a trial going on in Baltimore with the police who killed him. Freddie Gray's family received a wrongful death settlement of $6 million, but that's not going to bring Freddie Gray back. And Freddie Gray, had he lived, who knows, one day his life may have been worth much more than $6 million. But anyway, he's dead now. He was born in poverty in Baltimore, died in poverty in Baltimore. And only through his death, his murder by Baltimore police, was Freddie Gray's family able to come out of poverty. That shouldn't be a solution. Killing a young black man and then paying that young black man's family a wrongful death settlement. That should not be the new jackpot or the new solution to getting a poor black family out of the ghetto or out of poverty in America. I repeat, paying a black family a wrongful death settlement after their son or their brother has been killed by police, that should not be the new solution to helping a black poor family come up out of poverty and move out of the ghetto or projects in America. That shouldn't be the new solution. And do you remember the riots of Baltimore last year when these teenagers, these kids, these teenagers who were fed up with the police abusing them and killing their family members and their friends, they lost it. These teenage kids in Baltimore, they had it up to here. They'd had it. And they exploded with hurt. The anger came out of them, and they attacked the police. Now, I'm not an advocate. I am not an advocate. Please hear me. I'm not an advocate of anybody attacking or causing injury to a police officer. I repeat, I am not an advocate of any human being causing harm or injury to a police officer. I'm not. And I'm not an advocate of riots, nor am I an advocate of riots. But you had these kids in Baltimore who had seen their parents be beaten and killed and abused by Baltimore police. They'd seen their uncles and their aunts and their brothers and their sisters and their friends be abused and killed and maimed by the Baltimore police for decades. And after Freddie Gray's murder, they lost it. They had it up to here and they lost it. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. says that the voices of rioters are the voices of the unheard. He said, Dr. King said that rioters, people who riot, are the voices of the unheard. These kids, no one had heard them for decades. These kids had suffered, gone to funeral after funeral after funeral after funeral. And after Freddie Gray's funeral, these kids lost it. Oh my God. After Freddie Gray's murder, these kids lost it. And they attacked the police. They gave the police in Baltimore, the Baltimore kids gave the police in Baltimore what the Baltimore cops have been giving those black communities who live in poverty, those impoverished black communities, for decades. Now, like I said, I don't advocate violence against the police, but those kids had it. No one paid attention to those kids. No one paid any attention to those kids until they rioted. That's a shame that they had to riot for someone to come to their aid and hear their cry and understand their pain. Why is it that in America, and I love our country, please know I love this country, but why is it in America we don't help other human beings unless they cry out or do something drastic? Why does it take violence or acts of violence or acts of anger before in America we recognize that somebody is hurting? Please help them. Or please help him. Please help her. So as we approach this new election in November 2016, which political party is going to help rebuild Baltimore and help communities like Baltimore? Baltimore, West Baltimore, is not the only community in America swimming in poverty, swimming in a cesspool of poverty and filth. There are many other communities. You have poor communities in Atlanta, Georgia. You have many poor communities in Atlanta, Georgia. Many poor communities in New York City. Many poor communities in Charlotte, North Carolina. Many poor communities in Los Angeles. Many poor communities in Detroit. Many poor communities in Washington, D.C. Many poor communities in Chicago. Which political party is going to be the party to offer these communities opportunities to come out of poverty and experience self-sufficiency and success? I repeat, in 2016, which political party will be the party to offer these impoverished communities opportunities to become self-sufficient and successful so that they can come out of poverty and then reach back and help someone else come up out of poverty? The Democrats, we can't count on them anymore. I repeat, we can no longer count on the Democrats to be the party politically to help poor people rise up, because the Democrats now are in love with the elite and big money. The Democrats, they can criticize the Republicans all they want to, but the Democrat Party is now in love with the elite and big money. So we just can't say or assume, we can't assume that Democrats care more about poor people than Republicans do. Because we know now that's not true. So as Baltimore still sits there poor with boarded up buildings, as West Baltimore still sits there in poverty, it's a very impoverished community, boarded up houses, boarded up buildings, people still unemployed. The crime rate and murder rate in Baltimore is still high. I repeat, the crime rate and murder rate and unemployment rate in Baltimore is still very high. Which political party in November will best represent a solution, a platform, a plan to help the people of Baltimore to become employed, self-sufficient, and successful? Which political party in November of 2016 will best represent a platform of solutions that will help the people of Baltimore, especially West Baltimore, become employed, self-sufficient, and successful, so they can help themselves and reach back and help pull someone else up out of poverty? We just can't let the people of Baltimore continue to live like they did during The Wire. Many of you all watched The Wire. I did years ago. Remember that show called The Wire on BET? That show won many Emmy Awards, gave many black actors a start. The Wire series, television series, The Wire gave many black actors, many new upcoming black actors, a chance to become now A-list black actors. But it was filmed in Baltimore. The Wire was actually filmed in the city of Baltimore. That wasn't a stage. That was Baltimore. The real Baltimore. The same Baltimore that Freddie Gray lived in. The same Baltimore that those kids who attacked those cops last year during that riot live in. Still live in today. That's how Baltimore, West Baltimore is still today. It's still an impoverished, violent community. Full of crime and unemployment and drugs and crack houses. Which political party is going to help those people experience self-sufficiency, employment, and success? I'm waiting. I'm going to see. I'm going to stay tuned. What about you? Black voters put a demand. Black voters put a demand on both parties, the Democrats and Republicans. I repeat, black voters, please put a demand on both political parties, Republicans and Democrats, to stop making false promises. Stop making empty promises to help poor black people. And I don't mean food stamps or welfare. I am not referring to food stamps or welfare. I'm referring to opportunities for employment, success, and to become self-sufficient. Which political party offers those opportunities and solutions in 2016? Baltimore. Which political party will save or help Baltimore? Remember The Wire. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye.